I'm Charlie Rose with Gail King and Nora O'Donnell. French officials this morning say they have arrested 54 people for defending or glorifying last week's terror attacks. Six suspects tied to the brothers who killed a dozen people are still at large.
Charlie Hebdo, the satirical magazine that lost 8 journalists, is back on newsstands this morning. Hundreds of thousands of copies already sold out in just a few hours. The editor says that more will be available tomorrow.
A top al-Qaeda leader in Yemen says this morning that his group planned and paid for the Charlie Hebdo massacre. It's part of a ghoulish battle over bragging rights. On social media, al-Qaeda and ISIS supporters each claim their group is responsible for the French attacks. So Wyatt Andrews is in Washington and takes a look for us at the propaganda war. Wyatt, good morning.
Good morning. Even before al-Qaeda officially claimed credit today, U.S. officials were convinced the attack on Charlie Hebdo magazine was financed and organized by al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. But now supporters of the Islamic State, or ISIS, are also trying to claim credit in what experts see as a competition for jihadi credibility. Intelligence officials say Saeed and Sharif Kouachi, the men behind the newspaper assault, received training and cash from al-Qaeda. Sources tell CBS News that in 2011, al-Qaeda gave Saeed Kouachi $20,000 to finance a future operation. Last Friday, just before both brothers were killed by French police, Sharif Kouachi told the French network BFM that their attacks were directed by al-Qaeda.
Que j'ai été envoyé, moi, Sharif Kouachi, par Al-Qaeda du Yémen.
But then came the suggestion that al-Qaeda and ISIS were working together. Ahmedi Koulibaly, the ISIS follower who took hostages in the Jewish supermarket last Friday, said on tape before the attack that he was working in concert with the Kouachi brothers. Some of this was done together and some of it alone, he says, in order to have a greater impact. Experts who track jihadist groups say it's likely Koulibaly and the Kouachi brothers worked together last Friday because they were friends, not because of an ISIS-Al-Qaeda alliance. Aaron Zelen of the Washington Institute for Near East Policy calls ISIS and Al-Qaeda rivals. Is it too strong to say these two groups are enemies?
I do firmly believe that at the top levels of these organizations, they are definitely enemies. It's clear that Koulibaly and the Kouachi brothers definitely teamed up, and I think a lot of that is related to their own personal friendships and relations going back a decade.
But Zelen also says that ISIS wants credit for the French attacks in its quest for recruits and for relevance. There seems to be a race between these two groups to claim credit for all of the attacks. Why is that?
Well, I think what we see now, ever since especially the rise of the Islamic State, there's this competition between the two groups for sort of who is the global leader of this jihadi movement.
Al-Qaeda's statement today praises Koulibaly, the ISIS supporter, as a Mujahideen brother, but then dismisses his attacks as coincidental to Al-Qaeda's efforts. Experts see all of this as a dangerous escalation as ISIS and Al-Qaeda compete over claims of who's better at attacking the West.